So when they signed the contract, there was a fixed amount of money. So when they did the feasibility studies, didn't they know that there are houses, there are properties around or adjacent to those roads? Why are you bringing a new issue? Because you had, definitely you've done your feasibility studies. You knew there were houses there, which were there, some of them maybe even 100 years ago. You agreed on a fixed amount. And then now you are telling us, after reducing many things, you are telling us you've saved money. Why do you bring something you already have anticipated?
The issue of land acquisition, Chair, has become a very complex issue for all of us who will do capital projects. Because ideally, for projects, the ideal way, it would be the government acquires the entire corridor, clears all the properties and assets and the people who are within that corridor. And once they are cleared from the site, it is then that you should move to construction. The reality is that that is not happening.
This matter has not been adequately responded to. Chair, I will be requesting that the CEO and National Land Commission appear. But because in the audit query of financial year 2021-2022 and the financial statements that were signed by Engineer Ndungu and his counterparts, there was no verifiable beneficiaries and in terms of acreage that was provided. And then in your financial statement, there were disbursements that were made of 58.9.7 billion from the CPK, which you disclose in your financial statement. I'm talking about something you disclose as the entity. And luckily enough, you are the one who signed off that financial statement then. But you didn't, you need to give us a letter through the chair that gave you authority not to disclose the monthly disbursement as per the regulations of the law. Because if you are paying, for example, 4 installments to the contractor, you must disclose those details. Where is the bank account? Because the law demands under PMF, can you provide the bank account that was open to finance this project? Naturally, Chair, when you award the contract, and I know now that this roads committee, you must have retention money. But this was the only project that in their financial statements, they didn't have retentions and payables. I would want to know from the DG, where is the authority that they used not to have that in their process.
How would you retain when it is being paid outside there? And it is 100% paid out there. However, to confirm to the senator that the retention is normally put in place so that in case there is a defect, then there will be an issue, that money would be used to repair that road.
On retention, DG, it is the law. It is as simple as that. You cannot say you can pay retention money simply because it's funded. Because, Chair, out of curiosity, DG, you did an addendum number 3, where an additional money, and I had asked the legal if this variation was within the 25% as allowed. There was amount of Kenya shillings of 815,740,720 that was paid for additional scope of work. So one, was this a variation or an additional contract to the main contractor? Because if it was additional contract, then it should have been floated. But if it was a variation, then you must tell us which authority did you use. And finally, Chair, on the issue of payments through the bank account, and this is the law. The law, Chair, says that if I have a contractor, for purposes of neatness of audit, if I have a contractor that I'm paying 40 million per month, it must be indicated. It is not at its discretion of National Treasury that today you just receive in government entities, and I'm happy that you are the one who signed your financial statements, your indulgence chair, yourself, Engineer Ndungu, Director General, Engineer Charles Obon, Director Development, and CPA Chanje Kera, Deputy Director, ISPAC number 8279. The law is very specific that when you do payments, you must disclose. You cannot say, I will disclose at the end of the financial year. So, Chair, I would really want to see, because the DG is saying that they were correspondence from the National Treasury telling them, no, ignore the law, since it will be a lot of issues that will go through, let us use one. So the DG provide correspondence that give them the authority. And finally on CSR, I agree with your site engineer, in our law, every contractor has a right to do CSR. And in your own audit, there were 9 activities that was done by this contractor. Chair, and one of in their report, they are saying there was supposed to be water kiosk. You did add access road by 1 kilometer, and they were supposed, I've heard of Kiara Primary, where you are saying they have built a wall and supported. Chair, can the site engineer and the DG be honest with the committee and disclose the number of CSR activities? And I would request with your indulgence, this is your county, so it should be very special in your heart that you visit some of these projects and ascertain, so that your people could be suffering. Because if the people and I agree, DG is arguing that, since we are beneficiaries of these good projects, wacha kiatu itufinye, but let us look at the bigger picture. But the inconvenience that we are going to over 65,000 cannot be compensated, yet this project has been funded that will be paid by Kenyans to the China. It is not a grant, it is not a tokenism. We must get value for our money. So those are my final 3 questions. I thank you, Chair.
On the project accounts, Chair, it is an issue, and I think it is something that the OEG has raised, and we need to be practical, I think, at some point. We have raised it through the National Treasury. We probably would have several hundred projects as Kenya National Highways Authority. It would also mean that we open for each of those an account. We are talking of maybe several hundred accounts spread across the banking system. It is probably the correct thing to do. It is the law, it is there, but it is something that we also need to see whether Parliament would assist us to be more practical. Because if one has a schedule that the Auditor General can verify from the bank statements, would it be more practical? Remember, Chair, we are even moving to a single account. So opening those many hundred accounts probably is not the most pragmatic thing to do, in as much as it is. And it is something that is before Treasury.
Point of order, Chair, could the DG contradicting himself? Because in his earlier submission, he said every single project, they have a project account. Now he's saying we will turn to have a single account, and that was part of it. And secondly, he was saying, since this money was money that was coming from a different China government, it was supposed to not to disclose more information because it was a direct payment.
Yeah, you are talking about the accounts, 1,100 accounts.
Yes, and I think I mentioned that it needs to be a pragmatic approach. I know it is in law, but it needs to be a pragmatic. And I was explaining that we are all aware that Treasury is moving to a single account, single bank account, where there will be only one account which we'll be putting our monies into, and not some several hundreds or several tens of bank accounts with all sorts of, with banks from all other agencies around government. That if you have a schedule that demonstrates this is what was paid, this is what we received for project A all the way to project 100, and at the bottom you can provide the bank balance. Then I think it should satisfy probably the audit queries that we've been receiving. And this is why the retention of money is practiced in contract administration. Now, we have a direct payment method where the financier of the project is in China, the contractor is in China, the payments are done, like I explained, after being processed from ourselves, through our ministry, through Treasury, and they are given to the bank that is paying this contractor.
Because it is a Western pipe, as if today there are defects on that road, which money will you use to repair? Will you now come to Exchequer and say, since the China corporation built that project and he was paid, we didn't retain any retention, so we'll go back to the taxpayer to look for more money for repairs and yet pay back their debt?
Sorry about that. We have jogged our memories. The project engineer has confirmed to me they used to provide retention guarantees.
But in your financial statements, there is not that money, not number 5.
It would
Or
be
where
a bank guarantee.
yourself and your development engineer and the person who signed off the financial statement, not number 5 in your financial disclosures. You have indicated there are no payables and there are no retentions. And it is in your financial statements, it originates from you.
There is no retention, but there is a retention guarantee.
So where is the money in case, where will you get that guarantee from? Is it Exim Bank or the Bank of...
No, it would be the local banks.
Yeah, but you are saying the money came direct to pay the contract?
Can I clarify maybe again?
No, the DG, you must, through the chair, you must say that with the law, which authority are you using? Because even the contractor that I work with Kenha, you must have their retention money. You cannot say since there is retention guarantee, it is 0 on the balance of retention money. I think the chair, because this is your project in your county, I can request maybe DG can be given time to go and discuss and get from his finance experts. I wish the person who signed off financial statements would have been here. Because we cannot say, since money comes from outside the country, our law becomes sufficient. Even when you look at the section 151 on the public disposal and even public-private partnership and public disposal act, is very clear. But Chair, we cannot allow the DG before this committee, which has a jurisdiction of a high court, to prosecute an illegality. I think it will be unfair to everybody because you will write a report and it will set a dangerous precedent where since the money comes from outside and we are paying, Chair, it's more than 11 trillion that we owe.
Okay, give him time to respond.
The payments are being done from a foreign government, a foreign funding agency, to a foreign company that is constructing the road. There is no cash that comes to the Republic of Kenya. Let us be very clear on that.
No, Chair.
Through the project.
Chair, the DG about on a point of order. And then why disclose in your financial statements?
Can we have the DG first of all answer that question? Then we interject. Maybe he has an answer for that.
But he has said it comes from foreign to the contractor. Yet in their financial statement is through the payment.
You mentioned about guarantee. Kindly finish your...
And I was trying to explain, Chair and honorable members, that beyond that movement, there is no cash that we would keep ourselves, because when we pay, say, the ones in maintenance, we keep that proportion of retention in a bank account, because we have the cash and we are supposed to pay this person. If, say, we are retaining 10%, for 100 shillings, we set aside the 10% and keep it in a bank account in cash. But in this instance, there is no cash that is going through Kenya in our bank, in our system.
Chair, point of order. The DG should stop misleading the committee. I wish you would go back and still consult. Because even in section 151, even in complex contracts, before even handing over, you must retain the retention money. And he's arguing that, in fact, he has removed Kenha from the entire process. He's saying the money comes from foreign country, it goes back to direct to the contractor. Even he's saying they are the conveyor belt of that amount. Then are you not applying double standards? If a local contractor, you are retaining their money, but if I'm a contractor getting money outside the country, it is violation of the law. So, Chair, the DG is misleading the committee. Can we
I'm still interested in his response.
Yes, and
let's give him time.
And Chair, I was explaining that since we are not able to take the cash and now keep it in a bank account, what we do is we require a guarantee. And the guarantee is issued by banks in Kenya, and therefore it is accessible to Kenya National Highways Authority in the event that there are defects in the works. And that is how you do it, because the cash is not with us so that we can slice part of it, make a separate check, and we bank it in a separate account and pay off the contractor for the rest. That is the bit I was explaining, that to secure the employer, you use a guarantee, a bank guarantee that is as good as cash.
Then why did you, if you had retention guarantee for an DG, which is equal to cash, then in your financial statements, note number 5, how much was it? The guarantee was how much? And which bank did that retention guarantee is? If you give me that answer, Chair, I will raise my case, but so long as then the retention money was not there, somebody had retention money. Because if retention guarantee is same as cash, let's assume I have a guarantee of 1 billion, which is equal to cash. And then in your financial statements, you are saying there is no payables and there is no retention. So on this project, Chair, how much guarantee, which is equal to cash, was in this, and you refused to disclose in your financial statement? So how much was it? Which bank did it hold? Because you have said local banks.
What I'm saying is, Chair and Honorable Senator, is that the retention guarantees were there. As for the financial statements, of course, my background
Chair,
is not in finance.
Through your indulgence, Chair, and if you can answer this,
Order,
I will ask you.
Order, Senator, order,
Chair,
order. I wouldn't entertain the exchanges because
I'm speaking through you. I'm not directly.
No. Let's the DG, because we call him to answer.
So, Chair, I was explaining that there is a retention. The issue that is raised on the financial statements, perhaps, Chair, this is something that we could be given an opportunity to respond to, whether written or verbal, or we appear again, because I honestly don't have it readily with me.
I think let's go with that direction, because also the Senator had requested the same, and we move to the next question.
Chair, if you indulge 30 seconds, then you agree with me that there was no retention money, there was no retention guarantee, because the financial statement is your heart. It is like declaring.
He will give that submission to the committee. So,
but Chair, this is a document that has been considered by Parliament, because OAG is an entity, is a creation of an office. It's like a police officer charging you. You cannot say, since I have not been taken to court, there is no OB occurrence book with Chair.